What is up, everyone? This will be my Diana jungle video, and I haven't done a Diana jungle video in a while. She did go through some nerfs in the past, but she's still one of the best AP junglers on the patch. Super good with the tank build that I've been showing you. I still think the Leandry's Riftmaker, Tanky Diana is the best way to play her, and that's exactly what we're going to be doing in this game. So for Diana jungle, the rune setup, Conquer, Inspiration is the best. The jungle item, you can go either blue or green one. I just prefer blue, but green is probably easier to pull off. For ability, start Q level 1, solo Raptors, or start blue and full clear down if you want to path towards, the other side. This game, I probably wanted to path towards a Varus top. He's a very easy lane to gank, so that's my plan in this game. So here I start with a Q. You can easily line up and to make sure it hits all of it. And if you feel like you're not actually hitting them all, just kind of kite back a bit and then readjust your position. Your passive is the cleave effect. And that's like an important part about her is the passive effect of the 3 hits that I'm going to be showing you in this next camp. So generally, when you cast an ability on Diana, you get that passive buff. It empowers your, attack speed for up to like 3 attacks. So generally you want to cast like your W and then wait, a bit of auto attacks till you see this buff duration go away. It just kind of gives you more, uptime of the passive attack speed increase. And a lot of your jungle clears actually, tied toward that passive ability. This game, we have a pretty weird enemy comp, a Varus top. I do see it every now and then. And we have an Ignite top laner, the set, right? So set with Ignite is always a really good one for us to kind of like, play for. Actually, we have a little swap in this situation. Hold on. But yeah, whenever you have a sort of Ignite lanes, especially, like top lane and stuff like that, it's always going to be beneficial for you to kind of, look for an opportunity on it. But generally, when you're playing like a full clear jungler, like, or even generally in this meta, you still do want to, prioritize your full clear first, right? So when I'm jungling on her, I really, prioritize my full clear. Here, I like to kind of pull the camp a bit. And then, with my Q, I can just take it right after. And here, your passive should be able to cleave it all down. If you're afraid of, like playing with your leash range, just go to the next camp. Don't worry too much. But generally, if you're trying to maximize your clear, it's just better to kind of, do what I'm showing you and just kind of switch between the two as you're sort of getting lower and lower. So here we're going to be finishing our full clear, and afterwards we're just going to smite here because there might be a gank opportunity topside. So what I do is I ping, my full clear is done on level 4. There is an opportunity for Poppy to be here, but Zed should be looking for a chance here. So what we want to do is just hit him with a Q. Once you hit the Q, you can start autoing him down. This should be a kill. We just have to watch out for maybe his ability there. Damn, that was a lot of damage. And now I have to worry about possibly a Poppy. So I see the Poppy, which is fine. I don't think I'm going to get the crab, so I'm willing to say, okay, Poppy, have the top crab. I ended up starting boss side anyway, so this clear is going to be really good for us. So your Earth clear, generally, Dark Seal is really good. So if you can get Dark Seal, it's just really powerful. But if you have an awkward buy like this, you can just go into the Faded Ashes and just buy a pink ward. This is just going to give you, a relatively good sort of early game buy. We're going to have a very efficient, clear speed advantage with the Faded Ashes. Ideally, I like to have my base where I can get, a Dark Seal afterwards, but because we didn't get the crab, it's going to be a bit hard for us to get there. So enemy team dies there. Double grab. I probably won't be able to do anything about that crab. You just have to be willing to kind of let things go, especially in life 2. You just got to let it go. And especially because I was able to kind of get the summoners on the Varus, very good. Immobile champion, especially in solo lane, very easy for us to play around. Now I can just kind of pull clear and play for my pathing, right? When you're fighting on Diana, a lot of times it's all about hitting the Q. Once you hit a target with your Q effect, you have the Moonlight passive for 3 seconds, which means if you E on them, it resets the E cooldown. That's pretty much all it is with her kit. Q, a lot of times you want a Q flash to kind of get the direct hit on it, because once you hit the Q on, you get the E. You're pretty much always going to have that second E up ready to go, which is essential. So here, because our clear is a bit slower, we're going to entertain maybe a Varus kill, but realistically, I just want to get my clear going first. I'm not in a big hurry because I think this guy eventually will die no matter what. I'm more worried that, we don't have any CC up there, right? Like, I had a Zed who had a bit more crowd control, then I'd be more entertained. But now he took a trade, so this is good. This pretty much means he's in kill range, so what I'm going to do is just go and just, if I hit a Q on him, he's pretty much dead. So here, there might be warded, what we do is pink. And what we're going to do is just run at him. So he has no CC, so Varus is pretty much dead. So I hit a Q, what do? E, W, auto E, passive hit, right? Varus is kind of cheeky though, because he can stack up his passive in his solo lane. He actually does a lot when he W's and piercing shots you with his Q. So do watch out for that. That's how we almost died on the first gank, right? So it's very deceitful how much he can actually do. And here Void Grubs, we were pathing upwards. Well, it sets up really nicely for a Void Grub. You also have to remember, Poppy was pathing upwards as well, right? So she could easily just be playing for the Grubs as well. So we have to assume that if Poppy cleared up, I cleared up, Poppy might be here. So we have to play off that information. So here Zillion's here. Poppy's already on her clear. Fun, 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 fun. I'm trying not to get stunned, but unfortunately I'm just getting CC'd down by the good old Zillion. That was fun. That was in turn extremely fun, but yeah, that's a Zillion, right? So we have to play off that information. Dark Seal by here. You know, Amp Tome is really good. Probably a Ruby Crystal for now, though. And if the enemy support groups up and roams for the Void Grubs, well, that's okay, right? Just give it up. If I was able to get out there, I would have been happy. But that Zillion champion slowed me by 99%, so we were in a bit of a pickle. But overall, we do play Dragon. Honestly, Dragon is better. Void Grubs is just better in a sense that it can be easier to get if your team is helping you. But you do want to play, you know, Dragon is really the better objective to win games right now. Here, I'm probably going to help a bit. But I think they already got the kill, so... Alright, now I'm going to play for Crab. I may play for Dragon too, depending on the situation. We do have a relatively good amount of priority. This ward is always good if you're trying to do the Dragon, for example. Here we're just going to do the Dragon. Keep the Crab in his position. Keep him in his place. We're not going nowhere, Crab. And we're going to start the Dragon now. So, in these situations, I'm pretty okay with the game just because of my CS. Right? You're always happy as Diana, especially, you know, if you're playing into a comp that's, you know, pretty melee heavy in a way, and also just really not that good early. You're able to kind of scale really well on her. And I just see myself scaling really well, especially getting that one lane really behind. Right, we talked about how important it is to kind of just punish really easy lanes to kill, right? Even though Diana, like, I may not have the best ganks till my ultimate, but you can still get a lot done beforehand. And this mid matchup is, you know, it's going to be really easy for us to go mid and kill her, right? That's part of the power of our champion. That's also part of the thing about Diana. Or the Irelia champion. She just all-ins, especially in mid lane. If you see Irelia mid, so pretty much always going to be a free kill. As long as you're strong enough to kill and you have a good amount of damage, then yeah. You're going to be happy with that situation. So here I'm just going to finish my clear off. And I could base, but what is my base? The Haunting, guys. Realistically, I don't think I need it right now, but it is okay to base here just because of how far I am going to end up walking just to get to my top side. Would have been good to base there as well. So if you just watch for those timings, those could be a base timer. And my next base timer just has to be Liandry's Buy. So my goal right now is to just kind of power farm, look for a gank or two, and really just get this Liandry's Buy. Once you get it, you're really strong. You know, the first item is always the strongest. Especially on a jungler, because you can always sort of accelerate yourself and sort of get it much earlier than other people. And here the summoners are kind of back up, so we know, well, my summoners are up, so Varus summoners should be up. But also, I think Varus might have flashed. So that could be good. So, realistically, the situation, when I look at this, I see Varus is, you know, he's just ending up where I am finishing my farm, right? Like, I'm finishing my farm topside. This guy's looking delicious, delightful, so I'm always kind of looking for that. Varus dies, so maybe I can kill, maybe look for a Poppy play here. Realistically, I could probably just get farm here anyways. Poppy's a bit tricky just because of her W, but honestly, she may not even want anything here. I may have to base because there's really no play. Varus doesn't have TP, so there isn't going to be anything. I could just play for that plate and maybe a wave, but I may lose too much on my bot side if I do that. So we'll just say no hunt Liandry's Buy, and we're just going to go play on the map. If I want to kill, I could easily go mid as well. Punch him. Punch him, Seth. Or punch her. And yeah, I'm just going to play around the information I have. Poppy was top side. She's probably going to be going bot side or basing. And I just want to kind of go for the Crab if my bot lane has priority. There's a lot of ganking lanes this game. This is where it's like, it can be really annoying. Because it really just feels like you have so many opportunities for, you know, plays. Here, bot lane's fighting, so what we're going to do is actually just go for the gank. And the gank play, we want to make sure We think about Zilean ultimate, we think about their summoners as well. So here, Zilean flash, so we can just kill him here. And I'm not too worried about that bomb because, well, Poppy is top side, so there isn't really much they can get here. So here, whenever you can see another person like the jungler top side, a lot of times you want to be like, oh, should I go contest void grubs? Really, don't worry about the grubs. It's really not that worth it to run all the way there, especially when your top laner is dead. Check his jungle, right? Check to see if there's any jungle camps to steal. Like, this stuff is way more valuable than like running across the universe for like a void grub that's most likely going to be theirs anyways. So what I really want you to do is always kind of play for like check their jungle afterwards. Stealing up like these 2 camps, it's going to really set you apart from a lot of these players who have no idea actually how to play the map, right? So this is like a perfectly good map situation. And no one really knows I'm here, right? Unless the Zilean walks in, but it looks like Zilean probably ended up going to check, right? So, and there he is, right? So we just set up perfectly for, you know, 2 extra camps that we should have not got. And now we can get the Liandry's by also going into the Riftmaker. So here I like to go Sweeper. You can Sweeper earlier. You can just keep your yellow trinkets. I really don't think it's bad. And we have Dragon in 1 minute, right? So what you want to do is just ping your team, Dragon. And Dragon's just going to be on my mind. So how do I want to set up to get to this Dragon? What we want to do is actually do probably the top to bot clear, right? So now we just want to make sure the jungle camps on the opposite side of where we want to play, which is the Dragon objective, is pretty much gone, right? So what we're going to do is just clear these 2 camps. I see Poppy topside. I'm actually happy to see that because I really don't care about topside. Even though early game we're playing heavy to this Varus lane, right? We're punishing this Varus, all that kind of stuff. You have to understand that it's only good because it was good for me. Now it's not good for me to go topside, so I'm not going topside, right? So you have to understand these sort of situations. It changes dramatically. Now it's more important for me to play on around Dragon, right? So what we want to do is play around Irelia. We want to kill Irelia here. We want this Irelia to push and we want to kill her here. So here what we're going to do is actually just go on here, wait for set E, and then we're just going to go ulti here. Okay. No flash mid. Very good. So step 1 done. Honestly, me getting hit by the sun was so lucky. And now we want to do step 2, secure Dragon. So we have mid priority and we're clearing out all those wards. And now we're just in a relatively good position to kind of get more stuff going. So here, what are they going to do? They're going to fight us. They don't really have much to fight for here. I'm stronger than them. I'm cooler than them. And yeah, this is just really bad for them to even try to fight here. What I'm doing is just kind of burning her with Liandry's. I hope she goes in, but she doesn't. She's entertaining like they can get this Dragon. Dragon's gone. I really doesn't even have flash. If it comes in, she's going to get killed. And we're able to secure this Dragon, right? So now I just play for this Dragon and I'm just kind of, you know, just slowing the game down a bit. And from here on, I want to make sure that you play very much around sort of towers and objectives. Like your priority as the game plays out shifts slightly. Now it's more important for me to kind of, you know, not just get kills off my ganks, but it's more important for us to start to get these towers. Even though we don't have grubs, we want to start to kind of play around that window. And here, you know, if my bot lane is basing, this is a good time to base. Remember we said, like, we're opposite to where our farm is. This is always a good spot to base. There's literally nothing here. We base, we run up here. It's around the same amount of time. And for boots, I think they have a lot of CC, so I need Merchrez. Usually boots-wise, you can go Sork boots, you can go Merchrez. Armor boots, if it's really, you know, like an AD comp. Even though this game, they're pretty AD heavy, I really am going to get, like, perma-stunned. And that's not good for my game. Here, yeah, Zilean's a bit of a problem when it comes to having any sort of plays whatsoever. So what I'm doing is just waiting to see Irelia play on this tower. I'm not going to let her have it. And she has no flash, so we can easily kind of play around here. Ulti her here just because we can easily continue this sort of play, right? Which she has no flash. Closer than I thought. I guess Ignite is a bit of a overpowered rune or a summoner spell. But overall, you know, the reason why that's good, right? The reason why you probably would lose against that is because you don't understand. Like, she cannot hit me when I'm under tower. She's having to run in that entire situation. So I'm able to get most extra damage off because I know And she knows that the tower is, she's trying to run away from tower. And once I pull her in like that, it's just so much free damage. That's why it's good. Plus I'm clearing the wave. So that's why I'm saying, you know, those are, you know, respectfully, I wouldn't fight her if there was no wave and she was under tower, right? That's just not how you want to do it. Unless she's like super weak. But like realistically, champs like I really are just stupidly strong, especially on one item. Like Blade Owner King, you lose to like an 0 and 4 Irelia. So don't get baited by that. Just take the fight that makes it so much better for you. And also, you know, play around that farm, right? I don't want to just be running around a full up target who's really hard to kill, stuff like that. I'm playing around where it's good for me. I'm playing around where there's gold for me, all that kind of stuff. And we're playing really slow here, just making sure we can get some value. Poppy could be healthy, so I'm not going to overspend too much. Now I'm going to flash just because I've done enough damage. I'm not trying to get sniped here. And from here, there's ways to heal that you can heal by, you know, potentially... I do not think we can fight here, but Leandri's burn is effective at maybe negating them at taking this tower, right? Yoink. She's trolling now, so now we can kind of all in our W's back up. And, you know, she's just sort of overextending, so we're kind of capitalize on that moment. And here, I mean, my Krugs are up. I'm just going to farm my Krugs, right? The game is just stabilizing a bit. And I'm going to have a really nice base because we have Riftmaker and we're going to be doing a lot of value, right? So Diana, you're really a tank bruiser, right? You're like an AP bruiser. So you have to play as if you're sort of that. You're not this assassin anymore. Her identity has relatively shifted. So you're really an AP bruiser, a tanky champ. But you're not so tanky because, well, we don't have any armor MR pretty much. We rely heavily on our W shield being up. So that's something you always want to think about. A lot of times you back out, you wait for like your Q up or your E up, right? Your E is one of the longest cooldowns, basic abilities in the game. But what makes it good is because if you hit your Q and you E, the cooldowns refresh, right? So there is no cooldown. So that's why it's important to understand, you know, when you can kind of like double E. A lot of times all I do is, you see me in fights, I just single E, right? My second E is saved for my next Q. So pretty much my E cooldown is pretty much the same as my Q cooldown because I'm always Eing as I Q. So you see how that works, right? So whenever you break your E by doing a double E, you have to understand that it's really, you know, you gotta be cautious about it. Also, my team's not really playing around any of this, so. So this guy ulti that's really good now because I can just kind of play around killing him. Q snipe, and we see without that E cooldown, what do we suffer from? We suffer from really obnoxious long cooldowns. Does that hit? It does not. But maybe in this situation, hey, I want this kill. Let me use the minion to reset my E. Puts me right on top of them, and I can double E, right? So minions reset it. It's all about that QE combination. Whenever you break the combination of your reset on your E, your power level drops so much. So you have to understand when it's good. You're pretty much saying I'm not going to have any more dashes anymore. They actually got dragon. Irelia's solo. Irelia's solo. Yes, she did. Yes, she did indeed. And overall, I'm pretty happy with the state of the game, or this game state, because, well, their comp is supposed to be, you know, scaling, but they're not getting any advantages, so they're not going to have the chance to scale, right? So all you have to do is back to farming. Job number one is always that farm. QE to camps, boom, 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 W. You're not really waiting for that passive cooldown. Remember I talked about at the beginning of the video. How do you utilize, you know, Diana passive after waiting like 3 seconds before W? You don't do that anymore because your cooldown is just so short that it's not really an issue. And here also, remember I talked about, you know, I'm afraid that, oh my god, I might lose the 1v1 to Irelia. It was more of a one item thing. Now it's like I'm a split pusher because I have these sort of split push items. I'm much stronger. I'm pretty much a threat, and I'm also extremely ahead. Earlier, you have to be really careful of soul lane advantage. They have a big experience advantage because you're not able to get any sort of jungle experience because it's all being hogged by soul lanes. But once I get to 20 minutes, I start to take advantage of side lanes, pretty much as you see. Look how much gold I'm getting. I get 700 from that. And I'm just getting a bunch of soul lane experience for free. You can see how accelerated I'm getting on top of already being ahead through jungle. This is a good way for you to sort of, you know, find windows to get this like side wave, kill the slow laners, kill the side in it. I promise if you start doing this in your game somehow, you just take more sideways after 20 minutes. Usually when you're doing ahead, your team doesn't care as much. You're going to perform really well. You're going to really like that. So here I see a triple ulti angle. I just like the idea of, you know, getting a lot of damage down here. My W is going to keep me going. And yeah, you know, just real tankiness. I'm just most likely base after that. And usually I go unending just because it gives you a generic, you know, good item spike, good items, good value. Here we're going to go on the Varus. Interesting choice of items. Go on him with our second E. W will be up. Leandry's will burn. And the build, you know, we're really tanky now. Before I talked about what are we weak to, what are we missing? Resist, right? And once you get the Aegis of the Legion, armor, MR plus ability haste, you really get all that stuff you really lack on her. And here for boot upgrades, realistically boot upgrades are such a situational thing, right? They don't really have magic damage, so I don't really want to upgrade my boots till like way later. And for build wise, I see them having like more maybe damage. Sometimes I like to just go sort of AP like Zhonya's afterwards. It seems silly like to... I don't really necessarily want to go super tanky. I actually really like Zhonya's still going into like the tank build. I think going too tanky, you do lack some damage that you may be missing out on. I also think Zhonya's just gives you so much power, especially with your unending, because it still kind of goes on while you're in the Zhonya's. So I feel like people try to burst you down a lot, so armor item I really like is to go Zhonya's. If the enemy team is really like AP heavy, the Abyssal Master is a really good MR item as well. And usually your last item is, you know, up to you. Jack Show is always a really good one. And Dyna extremely good at still soloing objectives, right? My goal is Otacon. We're farming towards Otacon. Clear at the Zillion Vision. His wards are really bad. I'm able to clear one off the value of the sweeper, and we can actually just solo Otacon here. Wait a minute. Did I not auto that 3 times? Perhaps they had like the 4 health thing that I forgot. But overall, I can't do it anymore because I'm on vision. And I think Aurelia's here. So I may go for Aurelia. Like I said, I'm Giga Chad. I'm pretty much a soul lane at this point. Otacon's a tricky objective to do. You're not going to do it if you're not sure about, you know, actually doing it. So I don't want you to get baited on Otacon. I want you to focus on, you know, dragons. Stealing the enemy jungle here. Only do Otacon after, like, it's really easy. It looks real good. Your team is playing around, right? That's a heavy team objective, because if you're not ready for that one, it actually does so much, like, damage to you. It also reduces your armor and MR over time. So you just become a real easy target for team fights. But here we go back. We rotate control by dragon. A lot of times Dragon Soul is going to be a win con. Dragons are really strong right now. They're much stronger than Void Grubs after the nerfs. So I always, you know, you always got to play around the dragons. Varus walking up here. I mean, he doesn't even have Zhonya's yet. He's most likely in this brush. He left. Hitting him with 1 Q will be good. Once we hit the Q, what do? We E, auto attack him down to death. Real simple, real straightforward. I don't really like to upgrade Medjais because I think they actually did all kind of impressive. I don't like to upgrade my Medjais because it's just you're not going to utilize. You're going to die eventually unless you're me, but like you're going to die, so you don't really want to upgrade it. I prefer to just go into like a Zhonya's here. And then from there, you kind of see Jack Show is always a good last item as well. And you can always like sort of mix in more AP items too later on, right? Like this item itself gives you a lot of tankiness, so Zhonya's into Jack Show is generically going to give you probably one of the most powerful builds. Just because you stack, you know, this 2025, and then let's say we go into the tank item, last item. We go into Jack Show 45, right? So you're just gonna have a lot of armor and MR, and it just gives you a lot of that beefiness while also having a really, I would say, beautiful, absolutely beautiful level of damage on her and really strong ability power. Like the build is just going to be really powerful, you know. So here we're going to be farming a bit, and we're just going to be looking for either, you know, a Baron play. This is the problem with your team. Like I wanted to do Otacon, they end up sneaking it, right? But like my team is not really playing around it, so you just have to kind of take the bullet on that stuff. I'm so strong that, you know, I can pretty much dictate whatever happens later in this fight, in this game. Here we know their enemy team is kind of grouping up, so what we're going to do is actually just kind of play around this. Look for an engage here, get their flashes. Once we get their flashes, right, we just kind of focus up. We start to go a little slower, right? We've already got a pretty good amount of value here. We hit the Q. What do we want to do after? I probably want to E because now we have a reset. I probably want to kill this guy because he's a rat. And from there on, yeah, I mean, the game, I'll be surprised if they don't FF. Here we just go Baron, right? So now I want to aggressively ping my team because Diana's extremely good Baron champ. And also you can actually just Q like this and jump over. So you don't have to like take any plants. Remember, just stand right here. You can easily do the Baron and then jump over. They've nerfed her passive damage to like monsters, but she still does a lot of damage to like Baron, for example, with her passive. So you do Baron extremely fast. No smite is okay because, well, we killed pretty much everyone on their team, right? So it's not really a big deal. So here we buy this, we sell this, and now we say, okay, what do we want? Probably the Jack Show, so I just buy a ruby, a giant spell. And this is usually like, this would be like my core build when I'm against like a pretty like evenly split like armor MR damage comp. So it'll just give you a pretty good amount. And Abyssal Mask can also be a good option if you don't want the Zhonya's enemy team is AP heavy, stuff like that. You can go for the Abyssal Mask. And like we talked about, we can just completely take over a soul lane, right? Like we are, I mean, we're stronger than everyone, right? The Zed should just bend the knee to us. And there's nothing we want. So we want to start breaking these towers. We always want to set up two lanes, right? So we're always pushing and stuff. We always want to set up 2 lanes. And here, I mean, they could send the group up. Just look at that damage, very strong. And with the W, right, like I'm sort of tanking through all this sort of damage, even though they keep sending more and more people. I mean, my abilities are just coming up and up. And there isn't really any way for them to kill me. Plus, I haven't even used my Zhonya yet. So let's say if I needed to Zhonya's, well, there it is. And I can wait up more for like my W cooldown, right? That's a big thing about the Zhonya's. It's going to allow you to wait and get your W cooldown back up. And then it's just another set of shields. And yeah, that's how you want to be playing Diana jungle. If you do this, you're really going to climb, especially at low rank. I usually like to play Diana when I have like an 80 heavy comp, but you can play Diana whenever you want. She's never necessarily bad. I don't have mana or else I would be able to, you know, chase him down, kill him. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. We might not actually FF. So we'll have to see what happens here. Be sure to like, subscribe if you haven't already. Good luck on the game. Good luck on the climb. Good luck on the journey. And yeah, be sure to check out my stream if you want to watch me playing. I'm going to start streaming again soon. And yeah, have a good time. See you guys on the next one.